Metal Gear. Solid. No. Nope, 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 nope. Come here. Shh, shh, shh. No, I can't let you over there. I'm working. Hey guys. No! What the fuck is up, you guys? My name is eManDan642, and welcome to another review. So last year, I played my first PlayStation game, and that game was Metal Gear Solid on the PS1. Everyone knows that the Metal Gear series is regarded as one of the greatest game franchises in gaming history, especially Metal Gear Solid 1 and 3. And this game really surprised me on how good it was. This game is regarded as a classic, and I see exactly why. Metal Gear Solid is an action stealth game. It was one of the first of its kind and really popularized the genre. It definitely feels like one of the first of its kind. Not that that's a bad thing, it just feels like a game from 1998. And I love it for that, honestly. I have not played nearly enough games from that era, and honestly, I really like this era, even though I haven't played that many games from it. The game looks and plays very nicely. The gameplay definitely does get better from this game, but it's still very enjoyable. The graphics and music are very good for the time. There are a lot of great details like footprints, reflections, and Snake's fucking breath. The music is not amazing or anything, but it really fits the atmosphere and it heightens the tension of this game. Metal Gear Solid is very story-driven. Very story-driven. A lot of time is spent watching cutscenes and reading dialogue. But the whole way through, the story is very interesting and engaging. The game is fully voice acted too and is done really well. Snake is obviously amazing. He is one of the most recognizable video game characters ever, and his voice plays a large part in that. His voice is amazing. David Hayter is amazing. This game is the return of Solid Snake since his previous outing in Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. For context, I have not played Metal Gear 1 or 2. At the time I'm writing this, I've only played Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. In the year 2005, a terrorist group part of Foxhound, a special forces unit part of the US military, took over Shadow Moses, a small island off of Alaska. They are threatening to use the nuclear mecha Metal Gear Rex on the government if they do not receive the remains of Big Boss and a ransom of $1 billion in 24 hours. My favorite part of this game is the story. It feels very action movie-like. In the game, you shoot down dozens of enemies, fight a cyborg ninja, shoot down a helicopter. It's basically an action film. But it has realism to it. You feel like you're in the story. The cast of characters are all great and engaging. Obviously, Snake is amazing. Helping you, there is Colonel Roy Campbell, who guides you throughout the mission. Mei Ling, who acts as your save points, and Naomi Hunter, who often gives you intel and helps you on the mission. You don't even see these characters in person, yet they are great characters. Throughout the game, you use the codec, where you call these characters and more. It's mainly used to know where to go and what to do, but there is a lot of dialogue that furthers the story. The dialogue in this game is great. It's engaging and witty and funny when it needs to be. The gameplay in the game is really good. You start off with only a Silcon pistol at the start of the game, but later on you get much better weapons. This game can be very challenging at times, unless you just kill everybody, but you're not supposed to do that. In later games you have the tranquilizer gun, which won't kill anyone, just render them unconscious, like a tranquilizer does. In this game you don't have this, so it's a lot harder getting by enemies. There is an array of weapons and explosives you could do in the game though. Some of them you don't need, but they are all useful in their own ways. You get a sniper rifle, grenades, a radio-controlled missile launcher, and a fucking Stinger missile launcher. Some of them you only use during one boss fight, but they are all interesting and fun to use. Except for a few that feel kinda clunky at times. All of these weapons, as well as the many items you get along the way, are all integrated very well and introduced in a way that the player will understand when you need them. When you die, it doesn't feel like it's the game's fault. Well, in the case of not knowing what to do. The game gives you many opportunities to understand how to use each weapon and item you receive. But the opposite can be true too. The game can be kinda bullshitty at times. I have a love-hate relationship with the bosses. They are all interesting and unique. The bosses themselves are great characters, and most of the fights I enjoy. My favorite thing about them is how different they are. No boss is the same. Each one has their own fighting style, and for most of them, there are different ways of defeating them, and I love that. But I have a problem with the bosses. Maybe I just suck ass at them, but I've never beaten a boss on my first try, except for Ocelot. The rest of them, it took me at least a few times to beat. I said earlier that the game does a good job at explaining weapons and items, but it does not do a good job at telling you how to defeat a boss. Ocelot was the only exception. His fight, you just run around and shoot him. That was the first boss, so it made sense. The rest of them, it took me a bit to understand what to do. Once it did, most of them were pretty fun. Except for one fight that I did not enjoy. The fight with the cyborg ninja. This fight was way too long and repetitive. I really like his character and the events that take place before and after the fight involving him, but the fight was just frustrating to me. Plus, it doesn't help that all of the bosses take a ton of damage to kill, and usually you have to wait for an opening to shoot them, and they could just kill you in a few hits. It gets better later on when you get better weapons and more health, but it's still an issue. Honestly, that is the only big issue I have with the game. Even with that, I still enjoyed most of the bosses. They range from the one bad one I just talked about to being really fun and exciting. And like I said, they are all different and unique. This game is rather short, at about 11 hours to it. It took me about 15 hours, but that extra time was probably spent trying to beat Cyborg Ninja. Metal Gear Solid is a very replayable game, I'd say. A game you could go back to easily, after like a year or so. It is refreshing coming after playing all the Layton games, where you have to wait a while to enjoy games like that, even though they are rather short games. This is a game that you could just pick up at any time, play in a few days, and really enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to unpack in this game, especially when it comes to the story, but it's still very enjoyable. There isn't much of any post-game content, but fuck you, I say what I want. There are a lot of little neat things you could do or see. Most of them don't really matter much, but it's really cool to see this attention to detail. Kojima clearly put his time and effort into this game.
Solid Snake. What is that, a dick joke? Huh? Just $1. Oh, where am I? Where am I?
Come on, ready? Come on, come on. Metal Gear Solid follows Solid Snake as he infiltrates Shadow Moses to neutralize Metal Gear Rex and liberate the 2 hostages held by Foxhound. Snake gets into the facility through an air vent and finds the first hostage, the DARPA chief, Donald Anderson. He reveals that Metal Gear Rex can be deactivated with 3 card keys that Kenneth Baker, the former president of ArmsTech and the second hostage, is in possession of. Then Anderson mysteriously dies of a heart attack. A rookie soldier with a peculiar way of walking helps Snake escape. Snake finds Baker but is confronted by Revolver Ocelot. Like I said earlier, he is a pretty easy fight, but he is such a great iconic character. Suddenly, Ocelot's hand is cut off by the cyborg ninja who appears out of nowhere. Snake saves Baker, and he informs Snake about the Metal Gear Rex project. He tells Snake to contact Colonel's niece, Meryl, who has one of the PAL cards that Baker had. Then, just like Anderson, Baker dies of a heart attack in the same way. Snake contacts Meryl and she tells him to meet with Metal Gear's designer, Hal Emmerich, or Otacon. On his way to meet Otacon, Snake gets a call from an anonymous man that goes by the codename Deep Throat. Kinda sus, am I right? He warned Snake about a tank about to ambush him. And he was right. Another member of Foxhound, Vulcan Raven, attacks Snake in a tank. This boss fight is a lot harder than the first one. To me at least, this is one of the hardest fights in the game. But it was a really good fight. He defeats Raven and heads to Otacon's location. Alright, it's spoiler time, so go play the game if you have not. You don't deserve to watch my videos if you have not played this game. The Cyborg Ninja reappears and we get the boss fight that I complained about earlier. The fight is my least favorite in the game, but this character is one of my favorites. Snake finds out that the Cyborg Ninja was his old ally, Gray Fox, who was thought to be dead after, I'm assuming, one of the first Metal Gear games. Snake meets with Otacon, another one of my favorite characters. Otacon is an otaku, hence the name Otacon, who is obsessed with anime. Already, that's an odd character in a game like this. I love the weird placement of his character. He is a dork, but he's also a genius. He feels like a lighthearted change of pace from all the super serious characters. Snake meets with Meryl and she gives Snake the PAL card. After heading to the underground base, Meryl is possessed by Psycho Mantis, another great ass boss. Mantis is really fucking cool. The entire fight you run the risk of hurting Meryl, so there is another added layer of depth to the fight. Mantis says some really cool philosophical stuff when you beat him, like what it means to be a soldier and the ethics of war. The two are ambushed by Sniper Wolf, who shoots Meryl. Snake beats her, but then is captured by her. Snake meets with Liquid for the first time, and it's revealed that they are twin brothers. Snake then is tortured by Ocelot. The torture scene is really fucking hard. It took me a few times to beat, but I did it. You have to button spam to keep Snake alive, which doesn't sound too bad, but after a few times it gets harder and harder, and you get progressively more tired. You have the option to give up, but if you do, Meryl will be killed. So you have the option to give up, or don't, and this changes the ending drastically. So if you beat her, you are thrown into jail and Meryl is held captive. The rest of the game really picks up the pace and is action-packed until the end. Otacon breaks Snake out and finds Anderson's body that seems to be dead for a few days. Snake makes his way up the communication towers fighting off a horde of enemies. This part was really fucking hard. Not like, good hard, but there was just a fucking million enemies. He is attacked by Liquid in the helicopter. This fight is really good. It took me a while to beat because it was quite hard, but holy hell is it fun. Probably one of the best in the game. Snake beats the Hind, and on the ground he is confronted by Sniper Wolf, who he kills. Everyone knows about the funny Otacon scene and him being obsessed with Sniper Wolf, and it is pretty funny, but his story is actually quite sad. There are layers to these characters that make them such engaging characters. Snake infiltrates the hangar where he encounters Raven again. After defeating Raven, he tells Snake that the Anderson that he met was actually Foxhound member Decoy Octopus, and the real Anderson has been dead for days. Snake finds out that the PAL key acts as 3 keys, so he has to go back to a place that is hot and a place that is cold to change the key's temperature. Normally, backtracking like this would be boring and annoying, but you're not going back too far, and it's right before the final boss, so it's a good opportunity to stock up on rations and ammo. Snake inserts the PAL card and unexpectedly activates Metal Gear Rex. Master Miller reveals himself to be Liquid Snake. The real Miller has been dead for days. He reveals that the government had Snake sent to Shadow Moses because he is unknowingly carrying a Foxdie virus that causes cardiac arrest in Foxhound members. Liquid also reveals that he and Solid Snake are clones of the soldier a Big Boss, Snake having the dominant genes while Liquid having the recessive. Liquid boards Rex and you have to defeat Liquid and destroy Rex. Gray Fox shows up and sacrifices his life to help Snake. This final boss fight against Rex is really fucking good, but it's really fucking hard. The first phase of the fight is hard enough, but the second phase is even harder with your limited health and ammo. Snake destroys Rex and you get one last fight with Liquid. Unlike all the other bosses, Snake and Liquid have the same health and are evenly matched. Liquid could charge at you, making him a bit more powerful, but you are pretty much evenly matched. It's not an epic fight or anything, it's just a punching match, but it's a very climactic one. Since Rex is destroyed and Foxhound is no more, the Secretary of Defense is going to nuke Shadow Moses and cover up the entire event. After saving Meryl and confronting Liquid one last time, they escape, and Liquid dies from the Fox die. Snake and Meryl escape from Shadow Moses. Campbell has Snake registered as dead to stop the government from looking for him. This ending is really fucking good. I love the themes of fate and genes. Snake has the Fox die in his blood. He chooses to live the rest of his life the way he wants to. He rejects the idea of fate. Liquid embraces his genes and his destiny, and he fails. He was the snake to fall, while Solid lives. We get an after credits scene. Well, it's not really a scene, it's a phone call. We learn that Ocelot is a double agent who's working for the government. He reveals that Snake actually has the recessive genes and Liquid has the dominant, and Solid Snake was still victorious. He also reveals the existence of a third snake, Solidus. Metal Gear Solid was a really fucking good game. The story is one of my favorites in any video game, honestly. Even if you wouldn't like this type of game, the action stealth genre, I believe it's a game that should be experienced just for its amazing story and characters and themes. The gameplay is really fun, but can be a bit dated. Plus, the gameplay is improved immensely in the next game. I don't know about future games, but in the next game, the gameplay is, I guess, perfected. The game has a very unique style to it. It's not a game that is easily forgotten, whether that be the story, the characters, the graphics, the music, the themes, or all of the above. It's a really replayable game that probably will have the same effect on you as the first time you played it. I played it, last April? It is now January, and I really want to replay it after writing this script. I'm going to give Metal Gear Solid a 9 out of 10. Don't fall. Like I said, this is an amazing game that every gamer should play. It's an amazing game and an amazing experience. Also, don't play as Twin Snakes. I was going to play it originally, but don't. Just don't. This has been... Oh my god. I'm really sorry about my dogs if they're if you could hear them, if they're that bad. Probably are. So fucking annoying. I know. This has been Metal Gear Solid. Fuck you.